Here, look at my pants. Whew. The vegetation is soaking wet this morning. Yeah, running a little slow as usual. It's here. It's here. I smell something dead again. Just tasting, make sure it's not in the water. Yum. Best water in the world. Done. Okay. Oof. Jeez, I'm a little underpowered. I'm alright though, but I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Alright. Off we go. Beautiful day here. Really near the end of the heavy rains, I think. September's been really intense, you know. But we'll still get rain, but I think it's gonna start to be a little less wet. Thank God I have this tent thing over my bed because I sleep on the floor upstairs and have this cotton sheet, and I just looked at it yesterday and went, oh God, there's like mold forming all over it. Jeez. Anyway, I can't afford to get more fabric, but at the moment, but I think what I'll do is throw a fan on it and see if I can reduce that down. Yeah. It's a real issue here, eh? Really. Actually, you know what works really well? Oh, there we go. Is protein-based fabrics, right? Like I got a piece of silk that's been hanging up, just hanging in my bedroom upstairs. And the upstairs is not as wet as lower down. It gets more sun. But still, at this time of year, it's pretty damp, like over 80%. I got something in my eye today. I wonder. wonder what it is. Anyway, um, yeah, like this silk has been, I've been here almost 7 years and it's been up there right from the beginning. Not a trace of mold ever. 2 bits of silk actually. So if I could make a tent out of silk, that might be an idea. I mean, it's expensive silk. Let's face it, right? But on the other hand, I have to ponder this. Maybe if I get a big chunk of money or something. Anyway, yeah, I find that silk is doesn't mold up as much, and wool as well, you know. That's why wool is really great in damp climates. In general, I mean, you can't wear wool here, it's not cold enough, right? But in general, wool, silk, you know, these fibers made from animal fibers, basically, you know. Mind you, it doesn't count for leather. Leather will mold up really fast, especially certain kinds. And it feels like 80% is kind of like a magic line. Oh, this big thing, you see this down here? I don't know if you can see it, a big log thing that's covering the path coming up. And, oof, yeah. I feel like I should, it kind of looks like it might, no, I think it'd be okay for now. Don't want it to break the pipe, you know. Anyway. Yeah, 80% seems like the line where mayhem happens, you know. Like with my bedding, like I have a thick camping mat that I've just been sleeping on it for about 20 years. Or a version of it. It's super comfortable. It's on the floor. I have a netting over me. And what I find is it's okay if I sleep in it every day, or maybe like I go to my mom's on Fridays, and well, anyway, like if I miss one evening not sleeping in it, it's fine. It doesn't get overtaken, right? But if I'm going to be away for more than one night, then I definitely got to pull it all down and put it into the room where I have the dehumidifier. Like you leave it in there for 2 or 3 days, and geez, everything will be like, ah. Probably not the healthiest sleeping arrangement. Anyway, that's just adapting, right? It's not really a problem. It's relatively easy to break down. That's one thing about sleeping on the floor. You just roll it up and down it goes. You can do that in 10 minutes tops. Anyway. Yeah. Have to adapt, eh? So what's going on? Oh, there's a fair bit going on. I'm wondering, we're starting to see, it's interesting to see the climate, a bit more climate news coming out. You know? Like Greta's been out and about again. She's been probably missing the limelight for a while. I'm just gonna put this out here. I've been suspecting for a while that this sort of, it's so easy to slip into the conspiracy, maybe not that much of a conspiracy sort of narrative with this stuff, right? Oh, the trails are getting eaten away a lot. Whew. Heavy rains lately. Anyway, that the kind of completely unusual thing that basically the governments have been doing with this pandemic, with lockdowns and stuff. People say, oh, but they've done it all the time. It's like, yeah, no, that's not how things have been done in the past, right? Yeah, but during the Spanish flu, they locked people down. It's like, it's not the same thing. This is a worldwide thing, and that wasn't across the board. And of course, iPhones were pretty hard to get back in 1917. Anyway, smartphones, I guess, is what they are. But anyway, this thing of the kind of draconian methods that have been used for COVID, are they going to be used for things like climate and other things, right? Could be. you know, and there's this whole idea that the whole COVID experiment is an experiment for much more bigger things to come. Perhaps. Hard to say right now. But it's funny now, like there's this sort of overall arching narrative going on, right? So now it's like, okay, a lot of countries, including Thailand, and saying, oh, now we just need to learn to live with it. You know, you need to learn to live with the C19. Get back to normal. Doesn't mean they're not doing the freaking mandates and stuff. That's still going on. But they're sort of slowly shifting the general perception of things. And then, like magic, Greta turns up with a picture of her covered in oil. Although it wasn't oil, obviously. Covered in black gunk over her head. I don't know about you, but I'm like, this is a little weird. Or not weird. Weird in that I was thinking that this is quite possibly where it would go. See, and here's the thing. Much in the same way that the response to C19 has very little to do with health and a lot to do with other things. What could it be? It could be money, big pharma, control, get your app, we want to know where you are, all that stuff, right? In the same way, the response to the current situation has basically nothing to do with health. Otherwise they'd be telling people, hey, if people that aren't obese tend to do a lot better, let's try and see if we can get the population into a healthier state. Not easy, I'm not saying it would be. It's a very complicated situation, but I think they might make the effort, you know? But no, they don't at all. Although here in Thailand, every now and then I see on the English language news articles about healthy living and healthy eating. But my opinion is that Thailand isn't quite as pulled into the general narrative that seems to be occupying the West. Although it still is in there, right? Because, anyway, it's complicated and I don't even know, right? Anyway, but it's in the same way that the response to C19 has basically nothing to do with your health and your choice of health, how to deal with your own healthcare. Responses that are similar to do with climate are going to have nothing to do with nature. They're going to have nothing to do with finding a way to find a balance with living in nature, and probably nothing to do with climate either. Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah. Jeez, it's ever brushy today. Oh, this is like the thickest time of year with the brush. Oh yeah, now we're coming. There's a thick part there and there's a thick part coming up. So that's what I'm thinking. Keep an eye out for that. I would. So, of course, my main thrust in life, including all the whatever, music, artwork, even my instrument making, is for me to somehow find a way to find a path to be closer to nature, right? I often joke, like, my last life was somewhere between the middle and upper Paleolithic, and all I'm trying to do is get back to that. It's kind of a joke, I do, but there's a part of me that actually thinks it. It's like, yeah, well, it would explain a lot, you know? It would explain a lot. I guess I'll find out in the fullness of time how that works. Yeah, so that's been my main sort of focus for, I'd say, my whole life, you know? Especially once I hit my teens. I loved being in nature all the time. But when I became a little bit older, then I was able to spend time alone. Basically, it's alone time because why do you always go out alone in the wilderness? I like going alone, but it's also, if I waited for someone to go with me, I'd never go. Do you know what I mean? It would just never happen. But I have gone on many trips with friends, and it's been wonderful. Like, I'm thinking of Susanna especially, and Graham, and went out quite a bit with Graham, and most of this was in Killarney back in Ontario, and yeah. And Kate, went out with Kate once, and Janice, JC, I went out with her on one trip. That was really nice, and but not that many. Oh, also Ong and Maureen up here. Well, they're in the U.S. right now. We've camped up on the ridge that I go to all the time. Well, often, not all the time, but we have a bit of a traditional place for us, and that's been great. Love that. They always bring wine too. Takes a lot for that. Oh man, it's just flowing like heavy. Like it's the path is above my ankles. Whew. Anyway, on and on I go. But yeah, so that's been my main focus in life, right? Find a path to be in some kind of balance with the natural world. As we no doubt did at one time. Not that long ago, actually. Anyway, but, so a lot of people would assume that, say, the whole Greta Thunberg phenomenon, that I'd be like right along with it. But I'm like, whoa, hang on a second here. There's something wrong in that. Not her. I expect she's fairly sincere in her thinking and beliefs, but the whole setup feels dodgy to me, right? And you know, I know Kevin Hester has said to him it looks like child abuse. Yeah, you know, it does look like it has in the past. Right now it's hard to say because she hasn't been very prominent. But, and then Cory Morningstar did. She and someone else has a thing called The Wrong Kind of Green, Wrong Side of Green or something. Anyway, she did a great big thing about her. But, you know, all I needed to see was that she was telling the people at Davos, like scolding them. And like, look, with that bunch, she just didn't force her way in. They're using her, man. And she's moving into it. I don't know what's in her heart or mind about it, but she's more than happy to scold the people at the Davos and all the leaders and the wealthy and stuff, right? She's playing the fool. She's in a bad position, right? Like there's that tradition in I don't know about here in the East, but in the West there's that tradition of the fool, right? Who would sort of satirize the king or queen, and that they made a really valuable function in the life of the court and stuff. So in a way she's playing that role, right? But I don't. Anyway, that's a long, complicated thing, and it's not across the board, that whole idea of the fool. But I think she's being made. She's not just playing the fool, but she's being made a fool. And maybe the people buying into it are too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. All that. I don't know. But it's just thoughts coming into me, and yeah. I don't think it's a real path, but we'll see. Everyone, I think probably there's lots of different ways through this. And maybe there's no way through it. I'm not saying that there is, but in terms of how individual approaches these aspects of how to find a way to get through this. For most people, it's really what John Livingston said. And it's going to be very cynical, I'm sorry, but he said in the 90s, said, you know, he never called himself an environmentalist, he always said I'm a naturalist, right? That's what he was, right? if you want to put an "ist" to something. But he refused to be called an environmentalist, and in his opinion, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, oh, the environmental movement is pretty much all made up of people trying to keep things the same and get away with it, right? And that's pretty much the same now, right? I mean, you know, the calls for green energy is not as prominent now, it seems, but you know, all that stuff. Put up more windmills, put up more solar arrays, and that's just industrialization taking a new form, I think, you know. I'm not saying I'm exactly against them. Like, if I lived in a place, say, with wind, there's hardly any wind here, and I had the money, that's a big part of it, I would throw up a wind turbine and some solar panels. My friends Heidi and David back in Pincher Creek put up some solar panels. Great idea. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not under any illusion that's going to fix everything. It's just one little thing that I could do, you know, and also anything that can pull you off the main grid, I think is great. Although I'm sure with them, you know, you're whatever you're pulling off the solar panels feeds into the grid. But that's another thing. Anyway, it's a big complicated subject, and probably I like what Wendell Berry said, is really everyone's just got to learn to live more poor. Do you know what I mean? Wendell Berry, and that was David Ehrenfeld referencing him in this talk that was also with John Lewis, and his references, you know, basically everyone's just got to learn to live poorer, and he just meant with less of everything. But that's not really at the moment where it's going, right? Anyway, it's such a complicated subject. Anyway, how's that, eh? I didn't even talk about ivermectin until right now! Anyway, I'm gonna head off back home. I gotta clean my motorbike chain and maybe the motorbike, because I gotta take it in for a oil change tomorrow. I like to bring it in nice and shiny for them, so they don't have to deal with all the muck that's up here. And then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna rewire. I'm gonna put in a two-way lighting system. I need some more wires for that, but I'm gonna add a light downstairs so that when I go downstairs, right now at night, if I have to go downstairs, I turn on the upstairs light, and then it's dark all the way until I get to the kitchen, right? Like pitch black, right? But I know where to go. But the point is, I can't see any snakes or anything. So I'm going, I hope there's not a snake this time. Wow, my brother stepped on a snake once going to the washroom down in Saraburi. Anyway, he was fine. He stepped on it and the snake bit him. I should have added that bit. Anyway, I'm heading out. Hope everyone's doing okay. Catch you on the flip side, and à la prochaine. Ciao.